number one choice for Air Guard news. This is First Air Force Now.
Hello, and welcome again to another edition of First Air Force Now. I'm Master Sergeant Jerry Harlan. The continental U.S. North American Aerospace Defense Command Region, 1st Air Force, Air Forces Northern, has a new commander. Here's the story. Lieutenant General William Eder assumed command from Lieutenant General Stanley E. Clark during a ceremony officiated by General Charles H. Jacoby, commander of NORAD and U.S. Northern Command.
From the Noble Eagle, events we respond to no-fly passengers on commercial flights, to wayward pilots who stray into restricted airspace, along with the constant challenges Mother Nature throws our way. And through it all, the men and women of CONAR and AFNORTH have performed flawlessly.
Lieutenant General William Rue, Vice Commander of Air Combat Command, thanked General Clark for a job well done.
This system, under General Clark's command, routinely employed fighters and helicopters and airborne air refuelers and airborne early warning and ground-based air defenses in response to over 2,700 tracks of interest in our nation's skies. For always keeping our skies safe, I thank you.
During the ceremony, Lieutenant General Clark was presented the Distinguished Service Medal. He is moving on to become the Director of the Air National Guard. After passing the flags, General Clark expressed confidence in the new commander.
Honestly, I can't think of a better officer to replace me here at 1st Air Force in CONAR. Homeland Defense and Homeland Support are righteous and honorable missions. In all of our national strategic guidance, you will find the words, defense of the homeland is job one. While our interests overseas may change, our alliances may change, new threats emerge, the one thing that will never change is the importance and significance of defending our homeland. I am very proud to have served with all of you in keeping our sacred trust intact with those that we serve.
General Eder comes to Tyndall from the Pentagon, where he was Assistant to the Chairman, Joint Chiefs of Staff for the National Guard.
3 missions, 3 names, 9 hats make up 1st Air Force. CONAR, 1st Air Force, and AFNORTH. But it's not a person, it's a team. It's a team of active Guard, Reserve, military members, civilians, interagency partners, and Canadian forces. I'm excited to be here. I look forward to getting to know you all, and thank you for sharing this special day with Cherie and I. Thank you.
1st Air Force is directly responsible for conducting full-spectrum U.S. Air Force air and space operations in the continental U.S., Puerto Rico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. The organization is also responsible for providing defense support of civil authorities as an air component to U.S. Northern Command. Reporting for 1st Air Force Now, I'm Master Sergeant Jerry Harlan. 17 members from the 120th Security Forces Squadron recently deployed in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. Senior Master Sergeant Eric Peterson brings the story from Great Falls, Montana.
Many of the experienced NCOs had deployed multiple times in the past, but for some of the younger airmen this would be their first deployment. Regardless of their experience level, the security professionals were all excited to take part in this important mission.
Very proud to step up for this mission and for this deployment. I've got a long family history in the Air National Guard, and I'm very proud to serve and do my job, and do what this country has called us to do.
The fact that the deployment occurred during the holiday season made it hard for Guardsmen who left their families behind. Celebrations and observances were held early for children to enjoy the company of their parents. Many of the security professionals felt secure in the knowledge they would be in the company of this second family made up of friends and co-workers that would be watching each other's backs during the 6-month deployment.
It's definitely an extended family. I've spent the past 6 months solely with these guys, got to know everybody's ins and outs, what people don't like, what people do like, and it's drawn us very close together.
The deploying security forces members are confident that their experienced personnel and specialized training will help them successfully complete the mission and showcase the value of the Air National Guard.
I think the importance of this mission and importance for our airmen is to continually promote and show that we are a vital part. Some people that may not be friendly or may be unfamiliar with the Guard, I think they can point at this and say, listen, we integrated directly with active duty. We did everything that active duty did. And now, at the tail end of this, when we come off the plane, we'll go back to our civilian roles.
The airmen plan on keeping in touch with their families while they're deployed using modern social media applications and writing letters to be sent home through the mail. In Great Falls, Montana, this is Senior Master Sergeant Eric Peterson reporting for 1st Air Force Now.
The Modular Airborne Firefighting System, or MAFS, is critical to controlling wildfires. Senior Airman Sharon Vaden tells us how members of the Wyoming Air Guard and U.S. Forest Service trained together.
Wyoming's 153rd Airlift Wing and the U.S. Forest Service joined forces recently for MAFS training near Camp Guernsey. The Modular Airborne Firefighting System, or MAFS training, is part of the unit's ongoing mission to provide the U.S. Forest Service with aerial firefighting assistance. This training is vital in helping the unit stay safe while accomplishing their firefighting mission.
MAFS is the most challenging flying that we do by any stretch. We're in a low-level environment. We're dropping typically at about 150 feet, flying a real slow aircraft down to about 120 knots. And usually it's in high terrain with smoke and other things going on. So you really have to, keep your skills sharp and keep current on your training to make sure that you're operating safely while fighting the fires.
MAFS training is a benefit to the state of Wyoming as well as other states across the nation.
We were instrumental in the Texas fires here this last year. We were doing a lot of stuff down there. We were on station in Boise. There's one small fire up there that we were able to help get under control before it got big. And then in years past, especially in the California fires down in San Diego and Los Angeles areas, we're just flying mission after mission after mission, helping to protect homes and work with the ground crews out there.
Reporting for the 153rd Airlift Wing, I'm Airman Sharon Vaden.
Keeping the runways clear during winter snowfall can be a difficult job. In this report, Tech Sergeant Dan DiPietro tells us how they handled the task in Vermont.
The snowfall really dictates what's going to happen, but our priority is the airfield, so we'll dump as much equipment out there as we need to. We're trying to make the ramps and taxiways for the aircraft as clean as possible, free of fog, free of heavy snow drifts, everything like that, to make it a smooth departure. We work in conjunction with the Burlington Airport. We do go out onto the runway with permission from Burlington Grounds. So we're always in radio communication with them. We start off by plowing, followed by if there's some snow blowing that needs to be done, and then we follow it up with sweeping. We also have blowers that are with the sweepers so it can blow all the rest of the loose debris away from the areas. I mean, we've got to try to make that ramp almost look like it is in the summertime. One of the big things that is very important here is safety. These are large pieces of equipment. In the morning, when we are out here, we have to watch for everything. We've got security forces out there driving. We create whiteout conditions. Then a little bit later on, you've got some of the shops that come out, maintenance groups that come out. So then we've added the human element of people walking around. So we've got lots of lights on these things, flashers on these things. We're pretty visible. You do a lot of good work. You do your part in the mission. You get the planes to go. The mission gets accomplished.
Reporting for 1st Air Force Now, I'm Tech Sergeant Dan DiPietro.
A new home, a new mission. The Happy Hooligans are the new team in town. A team of warriors, trained, tested, and equipped. There's a new team in town. You could be one of them. Join the North Dakota Air Guard, the new team in town.
Alexis Maxfield, Crew Chief.
Charlie Post, Services.
Lynn McKinney, Weapons Loader.
William Hadley, Security Forces.
Ron Goodall, Human Resources.
James Cornett, Fighter Pilot.
Anytime, any place is the Air Commando motto. From the Gulf Coast to the hallowed SOCOM Memorial in Tampa, Florida, 16 airmen from Hurlburt Field marched 450 miles to honor their fallen comrades. Airman First Class Robert Mason reports.
With 40 pounds on their backs and 450 miles of Florida coastline, 15 marchers from Hurlburt Field completed a 6-day relay to honor 5 fallen air commandos.
Basically what the objective of the project is to raise money. That money then goes to the Children of the Fallen in order to help them continue their education. This is the second annual Ruck March, and this one is to commemorate the members that fell on February 18th of 2012.
Lieutenant Colonel John D. Loftus, Captain Ryan P. Hall, Captain Nicholas S. Whitlock, First Lieutenant Justin J. Wilkins, and Senior Airman Julian Schulten. These are the names of the 5 fallen air commandos honored by their fellow airmen as they stepped off from Hurlburt Field, home of Air Force Special Operations Command, on February 3rd.
Tech Sergeant Dion McGowan, event lead coordinator and a rucker for Team 1, talks about the purpose and challenges of coordinating the event.
I decided to form this ruck in August of 2011 after the crash of the Chinook. I had some friends on that aircraft, and I knew that they had left some family members behind, especially children. So I decided to form a ruck to Tampa, Florida from Hurlburt Field to raise money for the Special Operations Warrior Foundation and to also to memorialize them.
Well, for the overall, supporting the Special Operations Warrior Foundation is the big piece, but on a personal note, doing it for Ryan Hall, who was killed about a year ago now. He was my best friend, and his parents, doing it for his family, who were very supportive of all special operations and raising money for them.
We have four teams of 4 individuals apiece marching 12-mile legs. It's a relay-style march, 24/7, and we swap out after every 12 miles. Some of the challenges are obviously sleep deprivation. Each team probably gets about 4 to 5 hours of sleep in a 24-hour period. A lot of this is just done of sheer will and determination, which is one of the hallmarks of Air Commandos.
The team's 450-mile march ended at MacDill Air Force Base in Tampa, Florida, home of the U.S. Special Operations Command, February 8th. Reporting for 1st Air Force Now, I'm Airman First Class Robert Mason.
Evacuating wounded service members from the battlefield is only one part of the job of the 187th Medical Evacuation Squadron. Senior Airman Sharon Vaden tells their story.
Wyoming Air National Guard's 187th Aeromedical Evacuation Squadron, or AES, recently conducted formal aerial training. The mission of the 187th AES is to evacuate wounded, injured, and ill patients. Captain Melissa Stevens says this job is not only a wartime mission, but a humanitarian mission as well.
This unit evacuated 7 or 8 missions out of Katrina. We participate in any hurricane relief and different things like that. And so we take patients from a pretty poor place to a higher echelon of care.
AES personnel include flight nurses, critical care nurses, and EMTs who deploy regularly to assist other units around the world. Reporting for the 153rd Airlift Wing, I'm Airman Sharon Vaden.
Members of the 15th Wing and Hawaii Air Guard completed a joint operational readiness exercise initiative. And for some, it was the first joint operational environment. Senior Airman Orlando Corpuz reports.
With gas masks donned and chemical suits on, airmen from the 15th Wing and the Hawaii Air National Guard's 154th Wing recently conducted an operational readiness exercise here at Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickam. The exercise demonstrated the effectiveness of the Total Force Integration, or TFI, initiative. For some active duty airmen, this was their first time operating with their Guard counterparts.
Pretty similar to everything I've done active-wise. So it's kind of same setups, same equipment, same procedures so far. They're teaching me some stuff. I've only been here, say, 2 months. They know a lot, so it's trying to soak it all in.
The Guard had the lead on this exercise, but could not have succeeded without active duty assets and airmen.
It's good. We can be a team. A lot of them have fresh minds. Working with a lot of younger guys, so it's good to share the experience with them, get them familiarized with what we're doing here, why we're doing it.
During the exercise, airmen were tested in all facets of their operational capabilities, from communications to generating sorties and recovering aircraft. Overall, these combat tasks emphasize the total force's ability to employ and sustain the force while demonstrating their ability to survive and operate in a contaminated seaborne environment. Reporting from Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickam, I'm Senior Airman Orlando Corpuz.
The state of Vermont has a new Adjutant General. From Joint Force Headquarters at Camp Johnson, Senior Airman Chelsea Clark reports.
Brigadier General Stephen Cray takes command of the Vermont National Guard during a ceremony on March 1st, 2013. The ceremony was held at Joint Force Headquarters, Camp Johnson, Colchester, Vermont. General Cray was nominated and then selected by the state of Vermont legislation through a silent ballot process in February. He follows Adjutant General Interim Major General Thomas Drew as the 23rd Adjutant General for Vermont. Upon taking command, General Cray is promoted to Major General. The Adjutant General is the highest military position in the state and is called on by the governor during state activation. General Cray said he is privileged to be elected and is looking forward to leading the sons and daughters of Vermont who volunteered to serve. He also talked about how proud he is of the Guard family and appreciates the sacrifice they give to wear the uniform. Reporting for 1st Air Force Now, I'm Senior Airman Chelsea Clark.
Pilots at Luke Air Force Base have reached an impressive flying milestone in the F-16. Staff Sergeant Jamie Sikora reports.
Arizona is an ideal location for pilot training thanks to the year-long flying weather and stretches of desert used for bombing and gunnery practice. In February of 1941, the War Department approved the location for what is now known as Luke Air Force Base. The first F-16 assigned to the training base arrived 30 years ago, and on March 13th, a student pilot flew the millionth hour for the Fighting Falcon at Luke.
It's pretty neat to be a part of this, starting my career off. It's just a testament to how good the aircraft is, how many guys have gone before us learning how to fly this jet.
To my knowledge, this is actually the first 1 million hour event in the F-16 period, and it's pretty neat that it happened here at Luke Air Force Base.
Although there have been multiple airframes that have called Luke home, the base has been the Air Force's primary F-16 training base since 1991. To date, Luke has graduated over 18,000 fighter pilots and currently averages 2,073 F-16 flying hours a month. Reporting from Luke Air Force Base, Arizona, I'm Staff Sergeant Jamie Sikora.
Adjusting the radio. 2 seconds. A sip of soda. 5.5 seconds. Checking a text. 6 seconds. A few seconds of distraction can change a life. Stay alert. Save a life.
Where there's a tornado.
Where there's a forest fire.
Where Mother Nature is at her worst.
We're there. Where there's a search.
Where there's a rescue.
Where there are Americans in need.
We're there.
When disaster strikes, we're one volunteer force.
Helping each other.
And simply doing what needs to be done. We are the Civil Air Patrol.
The official auxiliary of the U.S. Air Force.
To join, call 1-800-FLY-2338.
Or log on to the World Wide Web at www.cap.gov.
Recently, a class of Air Force Guard and Reserve CEs sharpened their skills alongside airmen from the Royal Canadian Air Force at Silver Flag site at Tyndall Air Force Base in Florida. John Burt has the story.
31 Royal Canadian Air Force construction engineers took part in a week-long training course at the Silver Flag exercise site at Tyndall Air Force Base, Florida, training side by side with their U.S. Air Force counterparts. This training helps prepare Canadian and U.S. airmen to establish, sustain, and recover an airfield during contingency operations. Major David Jane, a Canadian exchange officer with the Air Force Civil Engineer Center at Tyndall, is the head of the Air Force's contingency training program.
So it's a unique opportunity both for them to come and experience the different equipment and the different organization of the U.S. Air Force Civil Engineers, as well as it's a good opportunity for the U.S. guys that are working with them to see and hear about some of the differences in the way they operate, the way that the occupations or trades are laid out, and just to share some of that common operating. CE is very much the same across both Air Forces, but it certainly does have its differences, and this is a great opportunity to benefit for everybody, to learn from each other and experience some things together.
Silver Flag training included procedures to establish an operational airfield, setting up emergency airfield lighting, mobile aircraft arresting systems, as well as providing firefighting support and all the infrastructure required for a base. This course gave the Canadian Airmen training opportunities they don't normally get.
Our heavy equipment guys get out a chance to do working on the airfield, working on heavy equipment that they don't get the opportunity to work on a lot in Canada.
Major Jane says joint training like this gives U.S. and Canadian airmen a chance to learn from each other's methods, build cooperation, and maintain capabilities for joint operations.
With the joint environment, it's pretty good because you get to see how they normally do things versus how we do, the different techniques.
Students from both countries expect lasting benefits from this combined training experience. For Air Force News, I'm John Burt.
Airmen, sailors, and soldiers recently completed an in-depth combat weapons training course. Sergeant Brittany Armstrong reports from Joint Base McGuire-Dix.
Not everyone is used to seeing service members of the Army, Navy, and Air Force come together to do weapons training. Mobilizing individuals receive weapons training and qualify with their respective services. However, the Army instructors at Joint Base McGuire-Dix Lakehurst put mobilizing sailors and airmen through 3 days of intense weapons training to make sure they are combat effective.
So we all leave here, then we're all, not one size fits all, but we are all Army trained. So when we get to our positions in the Army in Afghanistan, our Army co-workers can trust that we know what we're doing.
We're off with the target. They're going to come out here and they're going to shoot SRM. They're going to start from the 20-meter target, 20-meter lane, to the 15-meter lane, the 10-meter lane, and work our way in. Doing trigger manipulation, all right, and making sure that they go from state to semi.
Many of the service members expressed that communication is key when working together. Most were individual augmentees traveling to JB Metal from all over the world to train as a unit. Once they are ready to deploy to their combat theaters, they separate and join their new units overseas.
Kind of getting in the mindset and realizing, you know, that it's a different branch, but I mean, it's ultimately, you know, we're all doing the same mission.
Reporting from JB Metal, I am Army Sergeant Brittany Armstrong.
The Indiana Air Guard is preparing for the Consolidated Unit Inspection. Tech Sergeant Michael Appa tells us about the job.
The 122nd Fighter Wing, Indiana Air National Guard, is not only thinking about sequestration, but also for their upcoming CUI, Consolidated Unit Inspection.
This unit is going through 6 different types of inspections, all within a week's period. We're going through the compliance inspection, LCAP, AOCI inspection, HSI, and IIAP, and including the stand eval. The Air Force has evolved to the point where they're combining several inspections all at the same time in order to conserve money. Due to the budget crisis, we are going through a continual evaluation.
Reporting for the 122nd Fighter Wing, I'm Tech Sergeant Michael Appa.
Achieving 1,000 hours in an Air Force fighter jet is no small accomplishment. Very few flight doctors have reached this milestone. Tech Sergeant Dan DiPietro brings us a story from Vermont Air National Guard.
My name is Donald Majercik. I'm a flight surgeon and colonel in the Air National Guard, and in the last week I achieved 1,000 hours of flying time in the F-16.
I tell you, this is kind of like a revelation. In August, somebody brought it up and they said, you know, you're close to 1,000 hours in the F-16. I said, no, that's not right. I don't think so. I don't keep track.
But it's pretty big. I mean, it's a lot of time out there. And I got thinking the other day about how much time it meant being here. I mean, to get 1,000 hours in the airplane, you really have to be around and be involved to do that. And I was just overwhelmed seeing everybody out there. And suddenly it kind of re-impacted me as to, you know, everybody was very happy about this, achieving this goal, and I was I was flattered to see all the people that had turned out for this.
Always at the trap. Just get it off the ground.
Reporting for 1st Air Force Now, I'm Tech Sergeant Dan DePietro.
In Indiana, local students visited the dental clinic at Camp Atterbury to spend the day with the staff and learn good practices. Tim Sproles reports.
Soldiers and civilians at the Camp Atterbury Joint Maneuver Training Center Dental Clinic invited students from Eastside Elementary School in Edinburgh, Indiana, to spend the morning with the military dental staff and conduct hands-on activities, receive a walkthrough of the dental clinic, and learn the use of different types of dental equipment.
The purpose of this mission here is to inform children how important it is to keep their teeth clean. You know, as far as like, you know, a lot of kids, they eat all these sweets and, you know, other unhealthy foods, and they don't realize the importance of it until much later in life. And also another purpose of it is just to, so the kids don't feel scared or horrified when it comes to going to dentists. It's just to make them feel comfortable. They get in the chair, they know what it entails, and know that the dentist's purpose is to heal them. It's not to make them feel pain.
Reporting from Camp Atterbury Joint Maneuver Training Center, I'm Tim Sproles.
I'm Master Sergeant Jerry Harlan, and that wraps up another edition of 1st Air Force Now. To help us tell your story, contact the 1st Air Force News Director. And to all the men and women who are making sacrifices at home and abroad, thanks. We'll see you again soon for another edition of 1st Air Force Now.